Hi, I'm Alex. So I chose What's Eating Gilbert Grape as my movie review, and I chose this movie because I've seen it before and I enjoyed watching it previously because the storyline was very heartfelt and very unique. I knew that there was a character portrayed in the movie, an adolescent Arnie, with a disability, but it was never diagnosed in the movie as him having a certain type of disability. But again, I liked the cinematic view of it and how it was kind of laid back, and it was just easy to watch. Had a very interesting storyline that had many components of it that you really weren't expecting, and I really just enjoyed it, and I loved watching it a second time. So a synopsis of What's Eating Gilbert Grape is so the movie is about a young adult named Gilbert. He does not have a disability. That takes on Gilbert takes on many responsibilities, therefore making him not enjoy his young adult years, and because he has so many burdens he takes on at such a young age. He's actually 24. So he's a store clerk at a grocery store that no one shops at in the local community. They all shop at like I think it's called Food Mart, and it's kind of like a Walmart, and it's kind of putting the family business, not his family business out, but the one who the store owner who owns it is going out of business because of the kind of big, what do you call it, company that has taken over grocery shopping. But as Gilbert is a store clerk, he tries to provide for his family. So he's kind of taken head of household because his father had passed away and committed suicide. It didn't really specify why he did. It just was noted in the movie. But in Gilbert's family, it consists of his mother, who is battling depression and severe obesity, his older sister Amy, his younger sister Ellen, and his younger brother Arnie, who is the person who has a disability. Like I said, it's undiagnosed in the movie, but it shows signs of autism. Um, Gilbert is Arnie's main caretaker. He takes him everywhere. He takes him to work with him. He takes him to go to the pond, to out on their farm. He gives him baths. He's basically the main caretaker for Arnie. He he gives him his meals and stuff, and makes sure he's always checking on him, and he's always around. Um, but part of the story where it kind of takes a turn is that Arnie, well, it's actually in the beginning, but Arnie and Gilbert love to see the RV rally that happens every year in Endora, Illinois, the town that Gilbert and Arnie live in. And in that RV rally, a RV breaks down, and they're having to find a part for it. But within that RV is a girl named Becky, and eventually Becky and Gilbert meet, and Becky kind of opens up Gilbert's eyes to the world and the possibilities that are beyond Endora, Illinois. So he kind of gets to have a glimpse of that young adult view of being adventurous and getting to do what he wants. But throughout the movie, you see conflict and you see struggles of Gilbert battling, having to take care of Arnie, and having to, and then wanting to also be adventurous, and stuff happens to where Arnie, nothing bad nothing to the point where Arnie is dies, but to the point where there is some mistrust after what Gilbert does to Arnie. But after so it says, with all the struggles of having to manage a brother with autism, and the family that puts all their weight on Gilbert's shoulders because he is the head of the household and pays for everything, Eventually Gilbert cracks, and you see that he takes it out on Arnie at one point, to the point where he beats him, makes him bleed. Gilbert gets very upset and has to leave. And Dora, for a little bit, he just drives outside of the town. And while that happens, Arnie is also running to Becky, the girl in the RV, because Becky also took a liking to Arnie and cared for him while Gilbert was around her. So eventually Becky takes care of him, gets him cleaned up, and Gilbert's sisters comes and picks him up. After Gilbert has decided to go back into the town, he goes and visits Becky and gets consoled by her as well. And then the next day, it is Arnie's 18th birthday, and he returns home and apologizes to Arnie, but Arnie is very reluctant to take his apology, but he does anyways. But after that, other events do happen, and towards the end, Arnie and Gilbert end up leaving with Becky, and after another year has passed by, because Becky leaves, Becky picks them up and takes them off to where they're headed next. Were the people with disabilities portrayed in a positive or negative light? I believe it's kind of hard with this one, because in some ways in a positive light and in some ways a negative light, because you do see the bad sides of autism, where they are sometimes inconsolable and you can't really make them feel better about this situation, and you do see parts of that in Arnie in the movie, but then there are the parts that you really do love to see, and that's the loving side of how he takes he has a bond with Gilbert and he just loves him so much. And it's kind of hard to say. I would say more so in a negative light, because it does show more of the struggles of having a brother with autism or a disability. Was the depiction of the disability accurate? Why or why not? I believe it was very accurate. That's why I could say that in the movie that he did have autism, because back from the book, in the IDEA, I reread what the definition for autism was, and it said it's a development disability affecting verbal and nonverbal communication and social interaction, generally evident before the age of 3, that adversely affects a child's educational performance. Other characters often associated with autism are engagement in repetitive behavior and stereotype movement, resistant to environmental change, or change in daily routines and unusual responses. And also the symptoms Arnie was depicting during the movie was obsessive desire for repeating things. He would always have kind of like a twitch where he would hit his nose, and he would want to do the same kind of games with Gilbert, like jumping out of the tree, saying, where's Arnie? Where's Arnie? He did have temper tantrums to the point where he killed a bug, and then he was excited about killing the bug, and then he got really upset about it and kind of had a meltdown. Again, with the lack of imagination, kind of just playing the hide and seek game. He did look normal. He didn't really have any abnormalities or anything. He did have significant speech deficits, like echolalia. I don't know if I pronounced that right. And because he kept saying things that didn't really make other people feel good, like saying that his dad was dead, and that upset his mom. But other than that, yeah. Do you believe that people, having watched this film, will come away with a better understanding of the disability in the question? I believe so, because Arnie, Leonardo DiCaprio, who depicts Arnie, did a very well job of showing what kids with autism possibly might look like. There were some questionable moments of where you wouldn't really think that, it's that it wasn't autism, but that at the same time it was, because of more of the behaviors of the repetitiveness, the lack of imagination, and the meltdowns and tantrums. So yeah, but that was my report on What's Eating Gilbert Grape.